Okay, welcome to Troy Park Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, July 6th. Please call the roll.
Mr. Cappers?
Here.
Mr. Emmert?
Here.
Mrs. Westphal?
Here.
Prior to this meeting, we received our minutes of our June 3rd meeting. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions of those minutes?
None here.
Is that a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? They stand approved. Reports. Mr. Drake, our Park Superintendent. How are you today, sir?
Good, good. Just first an apology for no written report. We are actually in the middle of changing over our asset management software citywide. So a huge thank you to Doug Winning. He's worked extensively on the whole project, and I've worked with him closely to get everything up and running. But so once that is in place, we'll have even better reporting capabilities than what we had in the past. So
Okay.
I'll continue to work on that. But just some quick updates for June. I'm sure, as you are aware, extremely busy month for us, and the guys have done a great job. Just the 1 week we had 3 concerts in a row, back to back to back. I'm sure you saw WOBA in the park. We had 255 registered riders that many of them camped in Community Park. Stan Cagle and I were talking about that whole event, and we felt it was a great primer for GOBA coming next year. And all in all, as far as facilities and everything at Community Park, it went really, really well. I think the riders, the people I talked to, had good feedback and enjoyed their time here. So at least from our standpoint, as far as facilities, it went off really, really well. The second annual Truck Yard event seemed to be a success. We set up for that down here on South Walnut Street. Looked like good attendance, and that was well received as well. Ahead of WOBA, we were able to repair and repaint all of the picnic tables in Community Park, so every shelter's been gone through and all those tables painted, as well as a couple other painting projects in Community Park, and got the train repainted. Just a couple other things. For 2021, we had slated all 5 baseball outfield fences at Duke Park to be repainted. 4 of those 5 are complete. The 5th field, we're just waiting on a schedule opening enough to be able to get S&G back in. That field is used just about every night. So as soon as we can get an opening, we'll get them in and get that 5th field painted. And then Float Troy continues to be a success. We've had multiple nights of all the tents being rented out. Other than Matt Clifton, who helps run Float Troy, was the first and only one so far to tip a kayak and go in the water, doing a demonstration Saturday night. So, but no, I think all of them are having fun with that. Our seasonal staff this year has been great, the support staff to Float Troy, and really, really good feedback so far from everyone that's participated in that. Just a couple things upcoming then for this weekend. We've got the girls' high school soccer tournament at Duke Park. We've expanded that from 3 fields to 4 for this year. That'll happen this weekend. And then just to let everybody know, a downtown concert Friday night on Prouty that we'll be setting up for. So I think that's it.
Is that the annual mayor's concert?
No, that would be later, I want to say in August.
In August?
Yeah, on into August. And then we've still got one more Treasure Island concert coming up the first weekend in August.
Great. Good. Any questions for Mr. Drake? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Seiler, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Anything to add to your report?
Just a couple highlights. As I mentioned there on the report, we're going to attempt to host our first pickleball tournament next weekend. Of course, as I'm sure you've probably noticed when you've been out of Duke Park, that those courts are very, very heavily used with those user groups, and so we're going to see if we can kind of get something started with them. That was at a request of some of the users. Also, we, as Jeremy had mentioned, we've had a couple Treasure Island concerts to date at the end of June, and of course this past weekend for July 4th, and both of those events have gone very, very well. On Sunday evening, the food trucks had a major challenge with keeping up with traffic, so that's obviously a good thing for them, and they're sometimes difficult to get for events, so when they come to an event and they have a successful night, they're very apt to come back, so that's good. And then this weekend we have the Troy Skating Club summer competition that we hold every year, and our pool attendance has been very good overall. Two of the dates that we've had this summer have been 2 of the top 6 attended dates that we've had at the facility since the facility opened in 2005. So I think, a lot of that's due to just people wanting to get out and ready to enjoy doing some of the normal summer things that they're accustomed to doing. So outside of that, I believe that's it.
I'd like to ask you a question about the food trucks.
Yes.
Okay. First of all, do they contribute anything to the bottom line, or do they keep all their profits?
They keep all of their profits. It's
For
a
instance-
challenge to get them as it is. We usually have a very, very difficult time to secure food trucks as it is because they tend to go to events that are more likely to be successful. And so we found after year 1 at Treasure Island that we had a really difficult time getting food trucks to come to our events.
Well, the follow-up question then is what stops the food trucks from wanting to go down to Treasure Island and just parking and selling their wares in competition with the boathouse, for instance, things of that nature? Is there any
There's
license
some
agreement?
paperwork that we have them fill out.
So they make a
We get
reservation,
certificates
just-
of insurance and those kind of things.
Good.
So we do paperwork. It's not just that they randomly stop by there.
Thank you.
And there are some city ordinances related to proximity to a restaurant, for example,
Okay,
for in that case that you brought up about Smith's Boathouse.
thank you. Any other
David?
questions?
I was just going to make a comment that they are very heavily attended, those, I've been to both of those concerts, and the lines were probably 30 deep, and we thought about going there, but they never went down the whole time, so they're really heavily used, and I'm glad there's something there for people to use, so.
Thank you very much, Ken.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Brewer's not in attendance. He gave us his written report. I don't have any planning commission report to give you. The next item of new business is a presentation from the Troy Baseball Parents Association. Who wants to take the podium? Please identify yourself and give us your address, please, sir.
Sure. My name's Dana Smith, and I'm the president of the Troy Baseball Parents Association. I'm here to represent the 75 players and families associated with that program. I also brought Jeff Kowecki and Eric Hellman, as well as Coach Ty Welker, with me in support. We're basically here to just get alignment with the city and ask a couple questions about what we're doing as a fundraisers and what we're trying to do with our program. Traditionally, the Parents Association, its existence, I actually presented a presentation that I'm not going to go over. I'm just going to go through kind of some of the high points in best interest of time. So if you have questions on that, I'll happily answer those questions, but I'm just going to kind of breeze through and try to give you the high points and talk about what we're trying to accomplish. Traditionally, the Parents Association was designed to raise money to support the baseball program. Like I said, that's the junior high and high school. There's 5 teams, 7th, 8th grade, and freshman, JV, and varsity. And we've raised money in the past to support a baseball trip to Georgia. We've reduced player fees. We make improvements to the field and things like that. This past couple of years, we've kind of stepped on the gas a little bit. We've got a lot of interest. Like I said, we have a 13-member board, quite a bit larger than this board. Not as powerful, but we act like it. But when you get a group of parents together, that in those numbers, we think we can do a little bit more. So we started pressing a little bit. And this past year, we went to the Troy Foundation, got a grant. We fenced in the field down there at Market Street. I don't know if you've seen that. That was one of the first things that Coach wanted to do. Before we wanted to invest any real money in that, we wanted to be able to lock things up. And so we added some fundraisers. We partnered with the Troy Junior Trojan organization. And they play some games down there now. We fenced in the field. We replaced garage doors. We've painted the home dugout. We'll paint the visitor dugout here in the next few weeks. We've painted foul poles. We're building bat racks and things like that. So with the people that we have now, we've had some success, and we're growing on that. And last March, we took it up another step, and it's kind of why we're here. We did a fundraiser. We sold bags of mulch. And we started off and we think, oh, it's just another fundraiser. And we, like, Mr. Cappers, we're always looking for ways to raise money. And our traditional fundraisers have been in the $1,000 to $2,000 range, and we're successful at that. But what we wanted to do is a little bit more than that. We started this mulch sale, not really knowing what we're doing, and we partnered with Centerville Baseball, who does a very similar thing. And we sold 4,650 bags of mulch. at $4.50 a bag, and we, almost $21,000 in revenue and $9,000 in profit.
That's great.
And it changed the way we thought. We had $9,000 to spend. What do we want to go do? And we started thinking, and not only was it a success monetarily, it was a success. I remember going to a parent meeting on the Monday before we were supposed to deliver those 4,650 bags of mulch, and we had 4 trucks, and we were talking to Centerville, and Centerville saying it took us 13 hours to deliver on that first day, and we sold 5,000 bags, and we're thinking, that's a long day. So I made a plea to our parents' organization, said, hey, if you've got a truck and if you can come out and help us on Saturday morning at 8 o'clock, we'd love to have you. Well, we had more trucks than we can use, and we had, what would you say, almost 100 people show up. It was an incredible event, and it just showed that not only do we have 13 board members and that are working their tails off to help support this program, we've got a parents organization or a group of parents that really want to see us successful. And we give credit to Coach for that, because he's built a pretty solid program. So since we've started that, the ideas start flying. All of the parents have ideas what we can do with that money, and a lot of it came back to making repairs on the field and making the field a little bit more of a destination. We love the location. We've made quite a bit of improvements, and we've had a great relationship with Jeremy and with Ken over the years. Coach speaks highly of you guys, and I want to make sure I make that point out here, because I kind of felt like I may have gone around you guys to get here, and I don't want that to be the case, because we've really enjoyed the support of those gentlemen and their organizations. But we're going down the path now of what we can do more, and we wanted to get in front of this group and talk about things before you start hearing that we're building a dome stadium down on Market Street. So some of the things that we're kicking around doing is netting and brick backstops and batting cages and things like that down there. And like I said, we wanted to gain alignment with the Parks Board before we go spending any money or going and soliciting donations and asking people to work and do things without alignment with you guys and without approval here. One of the big asks, and I'm not coming here for asking for funds or anything like that. If you've got it, we'll take it, obviously. But one of the things we would like to be able to do is to sell advertising signs on the home run fence out at the field. We think that's one of those next big step things that we can do that could raise potentially a lot of money. And I put some ballpark numbers in the presentation. I don't want to commit to any of those numbers, because we haven't, like I said, these are new thoughts for us. This is a new way of thinking. We've always thought, we go raise $1,000, that helps us not have to work as hard in our next promo. But this gets us to think a little bit different. Our Piqua and Tip City and Vandalia, they all sell signs for their outfield fences. A couple of those are school-owned. Piqua, I know, is city-owned field, and I know they work around that, and the city allows them to do things like that. And we've seen those banners sell from $150 up to $1,000, and we don't know where we fit in that spectrum. We think we have a better story to tell, since you go to Piqua's field, and you can't see the signs unless you're watching the game. If we tell a local business that we're going to sell them a sign here, they're going to get traffic driving by on a regular basis. So I guess my ask for this meeting here is to give us some direction there, or give us permission to do that. Help us align in the process of getting approval and buy-in on the things that we want to do, and align with the things that you want to do. The last thing we'd want to do is go invest some money, build a backstop and a fence, and then the Parks Board has plans to do something else, and it would demolition the work that we did. That's not what we're trying to accomplish. We value the partnership of the Parks Board and the city and the relationships we have now. So I guess that's, unless you want to buy some mulch, that's kind of my spiel.
Any questions for Dana? Okay, thank you very much. Let's start out with Ken. Ken, we have programs that also use that field, right?
City rec programs, really the only program that we have on there is our baseball clinic that's held just a couple weeks in the summertime. That is actually Coach Welker does in coordination with us. The North Market Street fields primarily are used by the high school program. In the summer, there are a couple of the junior Trojan Select baseball teams that also use it, which I think you had indicated are kind of part of this group.
Yeah,
So,
they're all Troy kids as well.
and then there's an Acme team that generally uses it as well in the summer, in addition to those couple of junior Trojan teams. So that's kind of the user groups that utilize that particular field. That's really about all it can handle. All three of the fields that we have at this particular size are pretty much maxed out at this point, between the North Market Street baseball field, the Teener field, and then the one larger field that's part of the cluster of 4 at Duke Park. So that's our challenge right now, is there's really only 3 of those fields that are that size. And unless I'm misspeaking, they're pretty much, they're at capacity.
Getting there.
So we don't have a lot of, there are not a lot of city-run rec programs that utilize that field other than the baseball clinics that we run in the summer. Softball's a little bit different situation because we run the softball programs. We don't, Troy Junior Baseball is an independent program from us.
Okay, so softball program uses the Market Street softball field,
Correct. In addition to Duke Park.
and the girls softball team plays on that?
Girls High School?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so they also use that. Gotcha, all right. Okay. I'm going to continue making comments until you guys want to jump in.
Yeah.
Okay. That is a premier site. It gets a lot of traffic coming down 55, Market Street Bridge, things of that nature. And you mentioned that it looks like it's a premier site, comparing it to Pickwood Tip City, whose fields are nestled inside their cities. This gets a lot of traffic, a lot of viewing. When people come before the park board and ask for improvements to their facilities, I always have to go on and tell them that, hey, listen, the improvements, if you make the improvements, that's okay. Just make sure it's approved by us before you go forward and make the improvements. But you got to make sure that the improvements stay with the property and they're not yours anymore. As soon as they get attached to the real estate, they become that of the city of Troy. The city of Troy can use it for their programs. The city of Troy gets it if you're not there anymore. If you abandon it, it becomes ours. If you don't abandon it, we want to use it, it's ours. No, we won't do that to you, but you know, that's the reality of the situation. We did that for the Troy Junior football parents. We did that for the Soccer Parents Association. Speaking of those associations, the advertisement has always been a tricky issue. We are accountable not only to the participants who play on those fields, but also to the rest of the citizens of Troy, some of which view advertising as eye pollution, and that they don't want to have it out there, particularly in a busy quadrant such as that. That being said, I understand it raises a lot of money, so you have to kind of temper yourself, the decisions we make with that. I personally am not sure I want to go there yet, but the other things, what do you guys?
But you know, we have like a 3-year plan that we sit down and we go over with Jeremy and we look at these facilities, and there's improvements that we've probably noted before with that ball field and
Those
things that we
steps
need to
have
make.
been an issue for years.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but the reason we haven't probably moved forward with some of those improvements is because of just funding gaps, and it gets dropped to the bottom of the list. So I think one part of it is, if, you know, here's a revenue stream that will help make some of those improvements and make them happen sooner than later, I kind of like that. I think the second thing is, yeah, the advertising is kind of a completely different, you know, that's kind of a different animal. I think it's almost 2 questions. It's, hey, do we have something that we can maybe fill in some of the revenue gaps and maybe make some of the improvements earlier, you know, based off of some of the great things they're doing? And the second thing is, how do you want to handle the advertising component of it, which I think is a little more delicate, to your point.
Yeah. The problem with the funding gap, so to speak, and we're not talking about a funding gap, we're talking about a funding humongous gap.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what, $400,000 to replace the bleachers out there?
Yeah, between 2 and 3.
2 and 3,000.
Be safe.
And you've got that list on your presentation, your safety concerns.
Yeah.
One of the things you have is damaged fencing. We're taking out removing the old fencing. So that part should be taken care of. The concrete bleachers, that's been on CIC now for a number of years, and we just won't have the money to go ahead and repair those right now. We don't think they're an issue as long as people are careful going up and down the steps. The steps are kind of falling away a little bit. The problem with funding, we don't do this for the Troy Soccer Parents Association. We don't do it for the Baseball Parents Association now. We don't do it for the Football Parents Association. And I don't know how you can resolve this, if we permit the Baseball Parents Association to advertise on their outfield fencing, then the Troy Softball Parents Association come and ask the same thing. Then the Football Parents Association asks for advertising on the fencing at Troy Memorial Stadium. And where does it stop? So that's one of the concerns I have as well. Susan, can you want to comment?
Well, being on the end of raising money, I don't have a problem with it if it's up there for baseball season and not year-round. And if there's reasonable dimensions put on it, you know, it stays, you know, a certain size or whatever. I get it, that's a way to develop a revenue stream, and I don't have a problem with that. I see that being reasonable.
Have you guys entertained other options, a donor board that you take away and put in at the games and put away after the games or things like that? I don't know if something like that would be attractive.
Yeah, we've entertained a lot of ideas. You know.
Sure.
Yeah, we don't, our traditional population of a baseball game, for a high school baseball game is not large. You know, to raise money that can make a difference. You know, we traditionally passed on a lot of little fundraisers to make a couple $100, $1,000 here and there. And that's nice, and it's great. It's easy money, but it's a lot of work. To find a fundraiser that can raise potentially $10,000 or $15,000, like we stumbled upon this mulch sale, is difficult. You know, the strawberry donuts at the Strawberry Festival, that's been our joke all along. Let's find one of those to make our lives easier. And and the mulch has kind of done that. We know there's been heartburn around the advertising, and we get that. And in fact, I'd probably be one of those guys that would look at it sometimes in some places, especially on the soccer field, and go, yeah, yuck. But you know, we would be open to, like Ms. Westfall said, that, you know, putting some restraints on it. We do it only during the season, or making certain size constraints. We'd be open to anything like that. It gives us an avenue. We've asked for corporate donations in the past, and we typically get them for kids' parents that are on the baseball program. We got Dodge Monuments, and we got you know, the guys that are in our program typically donate because it's a write-off to them. There's no the ability to say, hey, we've got traffic, and you can also write this off and as a donation. It changes the conversation for us and gives us a little bit more, you know, fire under that story to bring it.
You know what we permit the Football Parents Association to do right now is do the trifold advertisement during the games, where they get the traffic in there. And they put them away after the games are over, too.
You know, we've had conversations about that, and like I said, you know, the traffic we get at a baseball game is nowhere near what you see at a football
Yeah.
game, and it doesn't help us sell the story. We probably get the same donations we would by not committing anything from that perspective.
I think,
We can definitely discuss it. I can bring it up within our next board meeting.
sure.
That's my thought.
And the windscreen out there right now saying Troy Baseball, I find that attractive. But then in your presentation with all the billboards out there,
Yeah, I was trying to show what we view our competition.
sure.
We don't like Vandalia or Tip City or Pickwell.
Right.
Just anything.
You know, I guess I just view it as, there's, you know, right now it's the fencing is the advertising, you know, advertising to generate the funds, but the reason they're generating the funds is because there's a gap, right? And so I guess if, you know, I kind of look at it as, you know, maybe it's the mulch thing that starts to bridge the gap, but it's eventually going to be something, right? Because we're not delivering on whatever that, you know, what they feel that product is, right, probably. So I don't know if it's itemizing out maybe what the options are, improvements they want to make, and maybe it's not something we can get all of them done in, you know, a year, maybe it's a couple of years or something like that. I'm not against the fencing, but I understand that the issue of, how does it transfer with every other program that we come in and say something to? I think of it like, I guess the scoreboard at the stadium has some advertising on it.
That's the only advertising allowed
Yeah,
that you can view from 55 on a scoreboard.
so,
Well, I'm going to put it out there that I would be okay with it. But I'd like to see some guidelines, find out what, maybe you could present us with, these are what we're thinking. And then we deal with,
So you interested in tabling the matter now until we get something further? Is that what you're saying?
that's how I feel about it. I'd like to see what,
Make a motion to that effect?
I can make a motion to
To
that
table.
effect, to table it for now, but to get some more guidelines, so we can be clear about what it's going to look like and the size of what you would see going there.
Is there a
Have
second to that?
basic direction on that as well. If you've got some things that, you have concerns about, we don't have any, I can put guidelines together that, I just kind of make up, but if you've got some concerns, we'd absolutely take that and work around those concerns.
yeah, I guess,
I'm sorry, let me get this.
oh, sorry,
We have a motion on the table to go ahead and table. Is there a second?
I can second that.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? It's tabled for the purpose of getting guidelines. Now, let's talk about the guidelines.
Yeah, gotcha.
I don't know if other facilities, other cities have guidelines about that maybe we could look at, just something so that there isn't like a ginormous sign for some people, smaller signs for other people. I don't know.
Well, let's take a look at guidelines as being time it's up. Is it just during the game? Is it during the season? Is it during particular months or what? Okay.
Well, first of all, let me throw out
the
there,
size.
I can't imagine that you would want to put them up and take them down every game. I would throw that out right now. Now, because, yeah.
And the size of the sign, okay. The colors of the sign, are they all going to be Trojan colors with scarlet and gray, or are they going to be different, or what, those are the type of things you take a look at as far as guidelines.
Yeah.
So, and probably something more. We got it. Is there anything else you want to throw out there as far as topics to consider?
No, I mean, I think, I don't think it's something we're gonna come up with an idea today to solve it, but like open to creative thoughts and, ideas and that kind of stuff, and definitely can review it. And I think you're right, the colors are gonna be a big thing. Does that relate to like city branding? Do we want to tie into some of that at all? But,
Well, and by the same token, a lot of businesses brand their self, so their colors are what people look for.
Sure.
And so to say you can only do these colors, I'm not sure is reasonable, but I don't know.
We'll do our homework.
Yeah.
Then the other issue, if you want to go ahead and address that, is what do we do as a park board when the other agencies come and ask us for the same treatment? What would a reasonable response be? Okay. All right. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Next, we have other business, a determination of the date and time of August meetings. We're going to go ahead and tour the parks again. I have given you kind of a list of what we do on every 3 years. We kind of rotate the parks. So our normal meeting would be at 4 o'clock. Of course, we usually, Jeremy, do this at around 6 o'clock at the park office, and then we do a tour of the larger parks in mass, having already had time to go ahead and individually tour our assigned parks for report back at that meeting. So Jeremy, what dates in August would be good for you?
We're talking Tuesday, Wednesday.
It probably impacts you the most.
Yeah, actually, the 3rd and the 10th I have conflicts, but I could do Monday, the 2nd if that's too early, or I could do later on the 5th, that Thursday.
Well, how about
A Thursday would be better for me,
Thursday?
yeah, but that week, because Monday, sometimes we
Yeah.
have stuff planned on Monday
Okay.
from the
Maybe-
weekend.
How about
So-
is it Thursday the 12th, something? Give us another week to view our
I'm on
reports.
vacation on that one, sorry.
So that's a yes.
There's a conflict, yeah.
The 19th?
What about the 5th? Does the 5th
Well,
not work?
will that give us enough time to go ahead and do our work, to view the parks you have assigned?
It would for me, but
I
I don't know.
can get to mine.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
I mean,
5th of August, okay? At 6 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay. And Abby, if you'll tell the media that we will not be having our normal meeting here in Chambers, but instead we'll have it Thursday, August 5th at the Troy Park office at 6 o'clock. And very frankly, if they want to attend, that's fine, but they have to drive in their own cars. You might as well tour the parks. Okay. All right, good. And I would urge you to go ahead and, after you tour your parks, get a written report over to Jeremy if you would, so that he can maybe combine, put something together. Okay, next on the agenda. We've received a check from the William H. Mayer Successor Trust in the amount of $1,691.49. We just need a motion to accept that amount.
I'll make a motion to accept it.
and I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Last but not least, we have a statement, a letter from the Ohio Department of Transportation that may impact Menke Park. You have the letter in front of you. I'll just read some pertinent parts. The City of Troy proposes to improve State Route 41 from the Interstate 75 to Ridge Avenue. The project is intended to improve safety, operations, and corridor access for all facility users. The project also provides an opportunity to address deteriorated storm sewer, sanitary sewer, water mains, and traffic signal infrastructure. The project is expected to begin fall of 2023 and requires 12 months to construct. Jill, do you want to address this issue, or you just want me to keep reading?
Yeah, you can just keep on reading if you're
Okay.
okay, or I can sum it up.
Go ahead and give me a summary.
Okay. So it's just really a letter that, because it's a park and because we're getting federal funding, it kind of just sums up saying what the impacts to the park's gonna be. And honestly, accessibility is going to be there the whole time. There's just gonna be construction in front of the park. And I think it says 3 structures, so 3 trees or bushes or something along the front, because we are requesting a temporary easement. But this is just, you're just signing this as concurrence. Yes, it's a park. We have the jurisdiction, and yes, we're okay with the construction in front of the property.
This is my signature on it as president of the Board of Park Commissioners, but I wasn't going to sign it without you guys passing a motion to go ahead and let me do that.
Yeah. No issues. I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay?
I'll second that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, stands approved.
Thank you.
It is now signed. Jill, you want to come forward and pick this up? Okay, Mr. Titterington, did you have anything you want to come before the Board of Park Commissioners today?
Just run back to the discussion with Troy Junior Baseball. We do need to talk to the lawn director, just to make sure that, because we do have sign code regulations, and they do address banners as well as other kinds of signs. And so when we're creating guidelines, it is a serious concern when there's one organization that is handled one way, but then there are other organizations, and even more than that, when we get into commercial structures, because the U.S. Supreme Court has changed the way we can regulate signs and makes it more and more difficult, to the point where what it says is completely irrelevant, whether it's commercial or free speech messaging. And so we've got to factor in what the law director says before narrowing it down to what is acceptable.
Okay, would you share his decision with the 3 of us, please? And ask for that right away. Thank you. Anything else?
No, sir.
Mr. Kegley, did you have anything else to come before the commission? Mrs. Knight, anything? Anybody have anything they want to say? Kyler, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
I saw you sneak in there.
Yes.
Do you have anything to add to your written report, sir?
No, just that things are going very well. Golf course wise, again, we did needle time greens last week, which is a minimal impact procedure that we do once a year. So we usually do it, right around late June, early July, when things start to heat up. So we are a little over 1 week out from that, and greens are pretty much back to normal at this point. So got through that really well. I'm just trying to get through some heat right now and keep the golf course looking great. But we've continued to be busy, and all of our programming is going well. So no.
Good.
Other than that, yeah.
Any questions of Mr. Brewer?
No.
No.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you for your attendance.